Hello, my name is Keith Thompson. I'm president of Asheville Civitan Club this year. I'd like to invite each and every one of you to join us for the upcoming television series, Spirit of Civitan TV. It's going to be on URTV, and we're going to be covering some of the important issues affecting our community. We're going to be meeting some of the civic leaders who are making a difference every day in the lives of our community, and making things better for our children and grandchildren, making this a better place in which to live. So we hope you will be able to join us and watch our series as it comes forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start a little bit early. We have a pretty hectic schedule ahead of us today, so if I can call the meeting of October 13th, 2009 of the Asheville Civitan Club to order. Hold your ear.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gordon Smith. I was spending time with my mother this morning, and she reminded me that in high school she was a Civinette back in Central Florida. And she told me a story about going to a powder puff football game for the Civinettes to raise some money for somebody, and how she played offense and defense and then didn't move from the bed for 3 days. I've been in this area for some time now. I graduated from Warren Wilson College in 1993. I then went and served overseas for a couple of years with a group called the Brethren Volunteer Service, doing community reconciliation work in Belfast, Northern Ireland, with Protestant and Catholic youth there. I returned, and I was an environmental educator and the director of an after-school program for children with mental illness. I returned to the area in 1999 to go to Western Carolina University, where I got my graduate degree in counseling, and I've been a practicing child and family therapist ever since. I've got a private practice over here on the east side of town called Looking Glass Center for Counseling and Psychiatry, and so I'm also a small businessman here in town. I live on the west side with my wife and our 2 enormous dogs. We're going to hopefully get a chance to talk a lot more about why we're running, but I want you to know that Asheville, ever since I got here to Warren Wilson, it was clear that this was going to be my home. And so thank you very much for being here today, and I hope we have a very fun forum.
How you doing? My name's Larry Holt. I'm a resident of downtown Asheville, and I would like to see a show of hands. How many of you have read the Master Downtown Development Plan? Everybody. All right. Please indicate your willingness or unwillingness to address the amendments and modifications to the existing ordinances that would allow us to implement this plan.
Larry, the answer is yes. I support the Downtown Master Plan. It was a really incredible process that the city went through to create that. And it was called at the time something of a treaty, and I believe that's true, where I don't think anybody got everything they wanted, but everybody got a little bit of what they wanted in there. I'm most excited about the urban development along the South Slope and along South Charlotte Street. We're going to have mixed income, mixed use facilities there, that's housing as well as businesses, and be able to create some more living downtown and that kind of walkable community that people live downtown for in the first place. The more density we have here in downtown, the less sprawl we're going to have into our open spaces elsewhere. And so building a thriving downtown is what that Downtown Master Plan is all about. The form-based codes that are suggested, they must be clear, not just so citizens can know what's going on, but those who choose to build here can have a clear idea of what's acceptable.
John Anderson, for everyone. What do you think is the #1 problem Asheville faces, and what do you propose to do about it?
I think that there are a lot of problems. I think the one that I would say is our greatest is jobs, and creating jobs that are going to be here, providing living wage, career track jobs that are going to be here for generations. Our service industry has fortunately been supported and has provided a lot of employment, but what we can do as a city is implement a low-interest loan program for green energy retrofits for homes and businesses, as well as raise the bar on energy efficiency in our new developments. That's going to give a shot in the arm to all of our growing alternative energy industry here in town. We've got solar manufacturing and installation. We've got renewable wind. We've got green retrofits, green construction, all of those supportive services that go along with them. We have an opportunity right now to give those folks a shot in the arm and rebuild an industrial base in Asheville.
Past 20 years, Asheville has been trying to get I-26 bypass constructed. And what I'd like to know is, I'd like to know, see a show of hands of the members there that are running for election, whether or not they approve of the current state highway approved bypass of I-26. And if they don't, why?
On the I-26 connector, I think we need to get it right and we need to get it done. It has been going on for 20 years here, and rather than talk about a particular design, Alternative 3 or Alternative 4B, since they're both in flux and they're both being changed by the DOT, what I prefer to talk about is the principles that we need to stand up for as a community. Because once this thing is in, we're going to have to live with it forever, so we need to get it right. We need to connect West Asheville to downtown. We need to separate the local from the interstate traffic. We don't need 65 miles an hour through the city. We could do with 55. I-240 is 50, and that seems to work pretty well. And if we can get down to 55, then we won't have to have those enormous flyover bridges shadowing Montford. We can also spare the Burton Street community. This is a neighborhood that fell down and got back up, and we need to respect their efforts to make their community safe. And lastly, we need to go ahead with what will be a 22-acre development corridor on the west side of downtown.
Many of us in this room live in the county. Our perpetual question to you would regard annexation. We have been well educated, pros and cons of annexation off and on over the many years. Do any of you have the courage to say no to annexation?
I think that we shouldn't use involuntary annexation as a way to simply increase revenue for a city and to try to make money. The place that people live is a big part of who they are, and they chose to live where they chose to live, and we need to respect that and respect their identities and where they are and their property rights. What I would say is that involuntary annexation is an important tool. If the city if city taxpayers are effectively subsidizing folks outside of the city, then I think it's the city's responsibility to mind its own taxpayers and to make sure that we utilize the tool that we have.
With the 1 minute closing.
Thanks again for having us. Again, my name is Gordon Smith. The central pillars of my platform are to pass the Affordable Housing Plan of 2008 to address the affordable housing crisis in the city of Asheville, to raise the bar on energy efficiency to be able to give a shot in the arm to our growing alternative energy industrial sector, and to create a dedicated funding stream for a multimodal transportation network, including sidewalks, bike lanes, greenways, and riverways. I've had a lifetime of public service, and this, for me, is a continuation of that service journey. I've led a grassroots campaign through the city of Asheville. We've contacted over 10,000 likely voters through our canvases and our phone banks. This is a campaign of the people and for the people, and I hope you'll join me. Thank you.
All right, great. I'd like to thank you all. I think we have 5 winners here for sure. So this great meeting is adjourned.